This is, as you know, the 2022 annual meeting for the Plymouth Village Water and Sewer District. And we are here at the Water and Sewer District offices on North Main Street. My name is Quentin Blaine. I am your tardy moderator. We have a flag here. I guess we have one on the wall. We can start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Rise, please. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we don't have very many ballot articles tonight, but we do have 4 bond votes, which require us to use yes/no ballots, and we'll choose. I have some labels to put on some of these boxes here, and the ballots have to be open for an hour. So we'll try to overlap, and that's my goal, is to overlap them. So we're not here for 4 more hours. Has everybody registered with the supervisors of the checklist? Mm-hmm. Is there anyone here who's not a voter in the district? Okay. First, the election results from Tuesday. There were 2 open races. Neither was contested. And Paul Sansucci was elected to another 3-year term as a commissioner, and I was elected for another 2-year term as moderator. So we will start with the Article 2, which is the Highland Street Water and Sewer Line Replacement, and it is to see if the district will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $4 million for the purpose of replacing approximately 5,200 feet of water and sewer lines in Highland Street, beginning at the intersections with Main Street and extending westerly approximately 5,200 feet to the intersection with Reservoir Road, and to authorize the commissioners to apply for, accept, receive, and expend grant funds in an amount not less than $1,400,000 and to borrow up to $2,600,000 for this purpose, specifically as follows. The water line portion is $2 million and will be funded through a grant of not less than $800,000 with up to $1,200,000 to be in the form of long-term borrowing as determined by the commissioners in the best interest of the district. The sewer line portion is $2 million and will be funded through a grant of not less than $600,000 and up to $1,400,000 to be in the form of long-term borrowing as determined by the commissioners in the best interest of the district. And further, to authorize the commissioners to issue, negotiate, sell, and deliver such bonds, notes, or borrowing agreements and determine the rates of interest thereon and the maturity and other terms thereof, and to authorize the commissioners to take any action to pass any other vote thereto. This appropriation will potentially be financed through a loan and grant package from the New Hampshire Drinking Water State Revolving Fund, the New Hampshire Clean Water State Revolving Fund, and the New Hampshire Drinking Water and Groundwater Trust Fund. This article is contingent upon and will only take effect if the grants noted in this article are received. Is there a motion?
I make a motion, we accept the article as read.
I'd second it.
Excuse me. The honorable article has been moved and seconded, and this is a ballot vote, so I meant to get through all of this earlier, but we will play this as ballot box number 1, very pretty box, and as everybody can see, it's empty. I think everybody can see it's empty, but Wolf did the work, did a nice job. We have keys to reopen them? Okay, great.
It's important. You better have keys.
So I'm gonna make
Whoa,
this.
whoa. Okay, I thought you were putting a ballot in. I was gonna say, we have to have a discussion.
That's right, we do need discussion. I knew I was missing something anyway. I'll make that ballot box number 1.
Shut that off before.
Sure. Yeah,
It's in the middle of discussion.
I'll show this, we'll make this one ballot box number 2 when we get to it. Nothing in there. I guess I can do the discussion from over here. If we'll open the discussion, is there any discussion on Article 2?
Jason has a brief presentation.
Hey,
For,
Jason, if you want to
Wanna
do your
that all at once,
presentation?
So afterwards, or?
just, well, I'd
Why don't-
say at the beginning would be
Yeah,
good.
let's
Yeah.
do it at the beginning.
Okay.
Go for it.
So I included all of them. Do you want me to
Yep,
just?
yep,
Yeah, just do, can you
them
do it
all.
one at a time? Oh, you wanna do them all?
Yeah, might as well do them
Yeah, I
all.
would say, yeah. Oh, all right.
Hey, Jason?
This so you're not.
He's gotta read them first before that. Oh, right. Yes.
And this is box number 4. It's empty. Now that I dropped that piece of paper out. Okay.
Why don't you just need to lock box number 2?
Good eye.
Thank you.
You never know, you don't want any craziness going on.
No,
here.
no, hey,
This is gonna be projected on the screen. If you wanna move your chairs up here and so you can see the presentation of exactly what they're talking about.
Yeah, everyone's way. So tonight we'd like to present on warrant articles number 2, number 3, number 4, and number 5.
You want, can he present on all 4 before you read them?
Yeah, that's fine.
Oh, okay.
So I'll give you a little bit of a background, talk about briefly our current projects and also the project need and funding summary.
I was gonna say, you have to have it on a surface. A
Here,
non-reflective
try this.
surface.
Jason.
Mouse pad here.
There we go, I got it.
Yeah.
So,
Put that in the book.
Sure. So a little bit of background on the district's assets. As you can see the map here, we have water and sewer assets, quite a few miles of distribution main, manholes, pump stations, gravity main, and force mains. Some of the background, we've been working on asset management since 2014. We started in 2018 with some Foster Street water upgrades, and in 2018 we passed an $18 million water and sewer project package that included Holderness Well, Main Street Water and Sewer, Bailey and Langdon, Force Main 4, Pump Station 1, Foster Street Generator, and some septic work, which we're currently underway and working on. So today we bring forth 4 warrant article projects: Highland Street, 4 million, Russell Street, 812,000, Reservoir Road, 1.74 million, and Emerson Street, 870,000. Project needs for warrant article number 2, Highland Street. We are proposing this project in conjunction with the town and DOT needs on Highland Street, which include a project for storm drainage and road restoration for the town and DOT, and we'll see some cost savings coordinating with them on that. But we've also had needs over the years on Highland Street. So the water main was installed in the 1920s and 1950s. We've had 15 water main breaks that are documented on Highland Street. It's a 10-inch cast iron line with leaded joints and potential lead gooseneck services. We've had some defective manholes that are in poor condition along this stretch as well. So we're proposing to replace the sewer in conjunction with the water, which will reduce risk of failure and sanitary sewer overflows. And will also reduce inflow and infiltration, which is water coming into the sewer system that's unwarranted. So the funding summary for this project, project total is about $4 million. $2.4 million will be in the form of a loan, and the total grant package, including principal forgiveness from the state revolving loan fund, is about $1.74 million. If you want to take questions on this project before I hop to the next one.
We just explained that these 4 projects were motivated by the ARPA funding that came from the federal government because of the Corona situation. That money came to the state, and DES has a large bucket of money. They contacted us in November saying that they were going to allocate those ARPA funds, which is primarily the grant dollars that you see. And so we had to scurry to get the money in. It's at this point, they've more or less committed to make the dollars available through the ARPA program. We weren't aware of the funding coming into the pipeline until November.
Yes, question?
Just a
Yes.
general question.
Yes.
There's a lot of money to be spent this coming year. Is there any concern that there will not be the contractors available to do all of these projects?
Yes.
Well, it's an
it's a
excellent
huge
question, and we've been discussing with Wright Pierce about the fact, the demand on contractors. Of course, it's not much different than it would be if you're having work done in your house. There's definitely an increase in the costs overall. So I think I speak for all the commissioners here in saying, we're quite concerned about our ability to be able to reasonably fund these projects. Yeah, I think it's worth pointing out, as we've said a number of times, that we're asking people to approve these warrants to give us the option here of borrowing this money and the option of moving ahead with one or more of these projects. We don't know which ones we're actually going to say yes to, because we only have a limited ability to borrow so much money. And I think I speak for all 3 commissioners here in saying we're concerned about running up too much debt. We don't want to do that. So we're asking for the option here to make the most intelligent choice, both fiscally and also with a sense of cost savings, because as Jason mentioned, we're going to be working with the town, and there's some potential cost savings there, and there's a lot to consider.
Follow up, so it's not just the availability of contractors to do the work, but there's a potential, since you're working with the town and other entities, of their not being on the same plate that you're on at the time, not being ready when you are, or the other way around. In other words, when they start digging in the ground for multiple projects going ahead, everybody's got to be ready to go, is what you're saying.
Yeah, I think we are going to piggyback contractors. It's going to be one contractor doing the work right, Jason?
Yes.
Is that what the hope was?
That's the plan.
Yeah, so we wouldn't have, the town wouldn't have a contractor, and we wouldn't have it would be one contractor doing both projects at the same time.
Maybe different engineering we have Wright
Right.
Pierce as an engineer, the town has
HEB.
HEB as an engineer, but as far as we're hoping to package this into larger overall projects to bid, to perhaps make it more attractive for a greater pool of contractors. So
Are you still limited to low bid contractors
Yes.
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 by federal laws,
Yep.
and state and so on?
Both the town's project is Economic Development Administration, we're Rural Development, and in this it's DES, but they all have essentially the same fundamental rules. We can't reject a contractor unless there's a specific reason.
Like poor performance?
Yes, they can be rejected poor performance for being engaged in litigation somewhere else.
Right.
Right. I obviously, we're just dealing with Article 2 now, but obviously the ratepayers are looking at, as you were saying, the bottom line. If they were all to go forward this year, which I doubt they can be, but if they were, that would be a number that you probably have available tonight to let us know what the impact would be on the rate increase if everything would have happened.
We can estimate.
You can estimate, yeah. It would scare people if you did, probably.
It's conceivable you would scare them. I guess it depends on how you were scared. Right. But, you know, I would say you'd be looking at a rate increase in the vicinity of 10% if everything flew.
Bear in mind that, you know, inflation is a word on everyone's mind. I mean, it's not like we're certainly looking back here on the district in years past, there was a history of foregoing increases when, you know, which eventually you're gonna have to play catch up. And I think the board we're interested in a nominal increase, a balanced increase over time rather than kind of put off the inevitable there.
And this project, just to preface the planning involved in all of these projects too, it takes multiple years to get a project from beginning design, conceptual, get the funding, to actually building it out. So this project, I believe we have a time constraint of, was it 2024?
2 years,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, this project, what motivated this project is the town has the Highland Street, or a portion of this, on the 10-year plan that's coming up. Actually, they're in the process of planning it now. And so the thinking was, when DES notified us that the potential for ARPA funding is, it's a shame to have the town rebuild a section of road without replacing the water and sewer line in it at the same time. And so, but some of the variables that Chris talked about are, you know, it's not clear today whether additional funding it's in the pipeline under the Rebuild Better bill, but the dollars haven't arrived here. What we know enough to be confident that money's coming to the state, but the rules haven't played out yet. So we're not sure. There's a possibility that additional funding may be available from the new federal dollars being infused to additionally support these things. The commissioners have committed absolutely to a thorough analysis of the cost impacts of any of these projects before going ahead. And the challenge is making sure that we've got our nose under the tent, for lack of a better description. And if we didn't apply, we can't get the money, so we applied. Then they told us you got to have authorization from your annual meeting in order to submit a formal application in June.
Right.
Yep.
So we've got to tell them in June we're interested, but we're not obligated to take the money until we know that the dollars that they're giving us and that we would be borrowing are enough to do the project, and that the additional borrowing fits into a borrowing profile for the long term of the district that the commissioners feel are supportive. So to some extent, it's a bit of a leap of faith on our part, and then on the voters' part, that the decisions that we make will be rational decisions moving forward. And so it's a bit tricky. We know that there's several hundreds of millions of dollars coming to the state of New Hampshire through the Rebuild Better. Huge chunk of that is coming to DES, and DES is administering it the same way they're administering this. So but again, we don't know what the rules are for the next round, so we don't know. We've had meetings with them, they've shared with us what they think, but until the money's received, till the governor and council decide how they're going to allocate the funds, we're kind of operating with the hope that there'll be additional dollars available for this. As an example, with this project, we were able to reallocate from another project. So in addition to the grant money here, there's another $140,000 a grant potential?
Yeah, that's included.
Oh,
in
it's
this,
included
yeah.
in this?
So
And that's,
we did reach out to the trust fund as well on this project. So this project received $200,000 from the Drinking Water Trust Fund because we didn't have that, entire funding package come together for this road. We didn't get SRF funding on the water portion. So we are working multiple angles on the funding, trying to pull in the best options that we have available. And like Don said, there will be more in the future, hence the warrant articles are written as such that we can accept additional grant dollars, but borrow no more than what we're proposing tonight.
And then one last question, any conflict with what's proposed for South Main Street? If some of this were to go forward
No.
this year?
No.
no, the approval this year will not result in additional construction on these projects this year.
Okay, bottom line.
Yeah.
Yeah, just too much lead.
Yeah, we expect to be out to bid on the South Main Street project in the end of May-ish, and that construction will start, in theory, this summer, all things being equal, assuming we can find a contractor and the world doesn't change dramatically. And that should wrap up next year, and these would be in the pipeline, but not under construction until after that, pretty much after that's done.
But essentially, the town of Plymouth can anticipate a lot of work in the streets in the next 5 years
Exactly.
to get all this done, from the sound of it. Okay.
If you want to go ahead on Article 3, Quentin.
Oh, we have to vote
Well,
Sorry,
first.
yeah, sorry.
If you want to break it up, because we'll have a,
That way we can
you
get the
can
votes
vote
in.
and
and-
Yeah,
we
we
can
can-
make
Yeah.
better use of the time in between.
Yep.
Perfect.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
So are we
So-
voting,
so
or are
vote.
we?
So,
Any further discussion?
Yes.
call
We're
question.
on Article 2 still, so I
Yes.
was just trying to get my bearings. Is there any further discussion on Article 2? Hearing none, we'll bring it to a vote. And I think the first one is green, but I need help with colors.
It is green.
Yes.
I'm gonna guess. So Article 2 is, we are going to vote in the ballot box. It says, ballot box number 1 for Article 2, I think is what it says. And it's a yes/no ballot. Everybody knows how to use one of those. You put in either yes or no. And it's a 2/3 vote, and which will mean we have 11 voters here, I believe. And so that will take 8 votes.
I think it's a 3/5 vote.
Yeah,
3/5?
they changed.
Yeah, they
rules.
changed the rules.
Okay. Has the rules been changed? I looked at my own rules, so 3/5. I'll redo the math. So everybody, we can start voting on number 1. And in the meantime, if it's agreeable to the members here, the participants, we'll go on to Article 3.
Yes, please.
And Article 3 is to see if the district will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $812,000 for the purpose of replacing approximately 1,900 feet of water line, upgrading sections of sewer lines in Russell Street, beginning at the intersection with Highland Street and extending southerly approximately 1,900 feet to the intersection with Warren Street, and to authorize the commissioners to apply for, accept, receive, and spend grant funds in an amount not less than $212,000, and to borrow up to $320,000 for the purposes of the water line replacement, and to borrow up to $280,000 for the purposes of upgrading the sewer line, and further to authorize the commissioners to issue, negotiate, sell, and deliver such bonds, notes, or borrowing agreements, and to determine the rates of interest thereon and the maturity and other terms hereof, and to authorize the commissioners to take any other action or to pass any other vote thereto. This appropriation will potentially be financed through a loan and grant package from the New Hampshire Drinking Water State Revolving Fund. This article is contingent upon and will only take effect if the grants noted in this article are received. Is there a motion?
I make a motion, we accept Article 3 as read.
Second. Article 3 has been moved and seconded. Is there discussion? Jason, are you ready to go?
Yes,
Article
yep.
3?
So Article 3 is Russell Street Water and Sewer. So this is primarily a water main replacement project with spot sewer rehab. So the water main was installed 1920s, 1940s vintage. There's been one major break on this line, but there's been multiple service leaks. It's a 6-inch cast iron with potential for existing lead service goosenecks and lead joints due to the age. The sewer rehab, looking to address deficiencies in some of the manhole structures, which will also reduce the sanitary sewer overflow and risk of failure and inflow and infiltration. This project is also being proposed in conjunction in coordination with the town. The town will be doing drainage on this project as part of their economic development agency grant that they have that we're currently working on.
Stormwater,
Yes, stormwater, yes.
And total road rebuilding.
curb to curb,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
So this project has a total of $812,000 with $599,200 in the form of a loan and $260,680 in the form of a grant. We're also in the process of working on a pre-planning grant with the USDA Rural Development as potential prerequisite for a funding package for the sewer side of this project. So as you see, the sewer side of this project does not have any offers for funding. That's something we're working on right now. So that potentially could increase the grant on this project and reduce the loan burden.
The motivation is 100% to replace the underground utilities at the same time the town rebuilds the road.
Question?
Yes, yes, Dave.
You mentioned the lead goosenecks. This is only the line in the street. What about the service lines to the houses relative to lead issues?
If we find there to be lead goosenecks at the main, we will be replacing to the curb stop, then assessing whether there's lead or galvanized in any of the other sections of line. So that's something that we will address as needed.
But you won't know whether they're existing to be a big problem within the house or building itself.
Right.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's part of what we're doing right now as part of our asset management program is starting to conduct service inspections when we replace meters to determine what's coming through the wall in the residences and businesses, and then tying that with information that we have on our tie cards, which show what's on the district side of the line in the street. So with that, we can make a best guess judgment as to the potential for lead to exist. We've also mapped any houses older than the 1940s in town, and we are working through those as a higher priority inspections.
But that work would not be included in what is being funded?
No, but yeah.
There is in the new pipeline, the new money coming in. We don't know, again, we don't know how much, we don't know all the terms and conditions, but we do know that there's potential funding for lead removal.
Right.
Again, we don't know the rules of the game, we don't know how much money, how much will be grant versus loan, but we know that lead, identifying the lead issue is in regulation, and there's funding following it.
So potentially it could be piggyback on the work done in the street.
It's potential, but this project is going to be happening in the next year.
Gotcha.
So the likelihood of being able to just sequentially attract those dollars, but after the road's done, dealing with the houses and up to the curb stop, but there is potential to get funding.
So would the district install that from the curb stop up to the house?
Probably not install, but help facilitate getting it done and then
Okay.
finally
It's the homeowner's
It's the
responsibility.
homeowner's
It's the homeowner's
responsibility.
responsibility. We have had some discussion of potentially developing a loan fund for homeowners if they want to upgrade their service.
Right.
Right, but, that would be, and just opening that option up for the homeowner if they wanted to go that route.
Do you see that as a major problem in this town? Lead contamination at the household level?
I don't, based on the information we have been in compliance through the years with testing for lead and copper. We're providing adequate treatment to prevent lead from leaching out of any lead pipes.
That the district controls?
Right. So that would be...
Well, we're balancing the pH, right, so that makes it less likely
Right.
that lead would leach lead into
Yeah.
the...
So that's something with the proposed rules coming down the road. There may be additional testing required that would make it more, more of a potential to test lead if they lower the limit down, require multitude of testing. There may be the potential that we could hit that. There is some provisions for replacement if we do violate. If we do violate, we will have to replace 3% of all services in the district that would have the highest risk. So that is a significant cost. So we're trying to, most of these projects that we have on the ballot tonight, we're trying to address some of our oldest lines in the system which have the highest potential in the downtown area. If you look at the map of older lines and older houses, it's focused primarily in the downtown area. So that'll reduce our risk.
Other questions?
Is there any further discussion? Okay, then we'll open up the polls for the vote on Article 3. Once again, this is a secret ballot, yes, no ballot, and I think it's orange.
It is?
If I read
Yes.
it correctly. Once again, it'll be a 3/5 vote. So now we're on Article 4, Reservoir Road, Water and Sewer Line Replacement. Article 4 is to see if the district will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $1,746,000 for the purpose of replacing water line and sewer lines in Reservoir Road and a section of sewer line on Binks Hill Road. The water line replacement will begin at the intersection of Highland Street and extend southwesterly approximately 3,000 feet to a point of connection with the existing 500,000-gallon water tank. The sewer line replacement will begin at the intersection with Highland Street and extend approximately 1,200 feet southwesterly to the intersection of Binks Hill Road, and then turn and extend down Binks Hill Road approximately 450 feet. Further, to authorize the commissioners to apply for, accept, receive, and expend grant funds in an amount of not less than $446,000 and to borrow up to $670,000 for the purposes of the water line replacement and to borrow up to $630,000 for the purpose of the sewer line replacement. And further, to authorize the commissioners to issue, negotiate, sell, and deliver such bonds, notes, or borrowing agreements, and to determine the rate of interest thereon and the maturity and other terms thereof. And to authorize the commissioners to take any other action or to pass any other vote thereto. This appropriation will potentially be financed through a loan and grant package from the New Hampshire Drinking Water State Revolving Fund and the New Hampshire Clean Water State Revolving Fund. This article is contingent upon and will only take effect if the grants noted in this article are received. Is there a motion?
I make a motion, we accept Article 4 as read.
Second.
Article 4 has been moved and seconded. Is there discussion? Jason, do you want to start again?
Sure, yeah.
Okay.
So Article 4 is Reservoir Road, Water and Sewer. We have an existing water main that was installed in 1950. We had one high-pressure system feed line break on this line. That was back in 2019. I remember it well, on Super Bowl Sunday.
Yes. Yes.
That line, this line feeds from the existing high-pressure system tank, which is the tank that you see directly off of Reservoir Road. and that feeds all of the residential areas up near Highland Street, including the school district, some of the upper PSU dormitories, and the hospital. So this is a critical line feeding critical facilities in town. 10-inch cast iron, and there's also fire flow deficiencies. We have some of our oldest hydrants on this line. The one you see up in the picture in the middle is a 1958 Eddy hydrant with only two 2.5-inch ports. So this line will be upsized during the replacement, and this will then be the last piece of connection between our current wells on Foster Street and the tanks up on Reservoir Road. So that will ensure the maximum benefit for fire flows to the entire downtown area, as well as critical facilities, like I said, the hospital and such. So the existing sewer here is 1968. There's deficiencies been noted in some of the structures, and generally we will be going through those, as well as some on Binks Hill Road, to make sure that they're up to par with the so we don't have a sanitary sewer overflow or and reducing I&I similar to the other roads. So this project we proposed is $1,746,000 with $1,127,000 in loan and $664,250 in grant and principal forgiveness. So this project was one that we were able to reallocate funding on the sewer side for ARPA to be able to fund this project. So we received $172,000 in ARPA for the sewer as a reallocation from another project. So this is our priority here, and that's all for this one.
Water's the priority. I mean, the water's the priority, but again, the rationale is we're gonna dig it up, replace the old water and sewer at the same time, but the water is the driving motivator of this.
How much larger will the new water service line be?
We'll be going up to, I believe it's 12 or 16 inch.
Is there any further discussion? Any more questions? Seeing none, we will vote on Articles 4. And
Three.
this is, I think it's blue.
Baby blue.
Baby blue.
Baby blue. Blue. Which brings us to Article 5. Emerson Street Water and Sewer Line Replacement. To see if the district will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $867,000 for the purpose of replacing approximately 1,350 feet of water line and sewer lines in Emerson Street, beginning at the intersections with Merrill Street and extending southerly approximately 1,350 feet to the intersection with Highland Street, and to authorize the commissioners to apply for, accept, receive, and expend grant funds in an amount not less than $157,000, and to borrow up to $235,000 for the purposes of the water line replacement, and to borrow up to $475,000 for the purpose of replacing the sewer line. And further, to authorize the commissioners to issue, negotiate, sell, and deliver such bonds, notes, or borrowing agreements, and to determine the rate of interest thereon and the maturity and other terms hereof. And to authorize the commissioners to take any other action to pass any other vote thereto. This appropriation will potentially be financed through a loan and grant package from the New Hampshire Drinking Water State Revolving Fund. This article is contingent upon and will only take effect if the grants noted in this article are received. Is there a motion?
I make a motion, we accept Article 5 as read.
Second.
Article 5 has been moved and seconded. Is there discussion? We'll start with you, Jason, I guess, again.
Sure. Article 5, Emerson Street Water and Sewer. The existing water main is a 1920 6 and 8 inch cast iron, and there's been clearly documented breaks in this stretch of 1,400 feet. and there are high potential for existing lead goosenecks. So you can see in the picture here, the lower right-hand corner, that is a piece of lead service line that we found and replaced with the photo up in the upper right-hand corner with the blue pipe. So that's what a lead gooseneck looks like, and there's been several that have been documented on this road that we're looking to replace along with the water main. So this road, we will definitely find lead on this road. The existing sewer, there's been deficiencies noted in that, similar to the other roads, looking to mainly rehabilitate the structures, but also abandon and remove the sewer force main that exists in this road. So that's one of our current projects, is to realign the sewer force main coming from the Tenny Mountain Highway area down along the Baker River here to the newly upgraded pump station that we have across from the office here. So the existing force main pumps all the way up to the top of Emerson Street at the intersection of Highland Street. So we'll have the opportunity to abandon that line or remove it. And this project will also be in conjunction with the town's priority to replace storm drainage on Emerson Street. This has been identified by the highway manager as one of their higher priorities for storm drainage and road restoration. So
Any questions for Jason?
Yes, any questions?
Jason's got the funding side of it.
Oh,
yeah, here we go, the funding. So this project total cost is $867,000 with $567,700 in the form of a loan and $367,830 in the form of a grant and principal forgiveness. So this was also one of the projects on the sewer side that we were able to reallocate ARPA grant funding towards.
Further questions or comments?
Get that summary slide. You have a summary slide that shows the total. The gentleman asked the...
I don't have the bottom line slide.
Oh, okay, all right. You asked, I think, what's the total impact? And the total borrowing is close to $5 million, and the total projects would be $7.5 million in round numbers.
Okay.
So we'd be getting about $2.5 million in grant funds against $5 million of local borrowing.
So obviously, if other funds become available during the period of time you go out to bid and whatever,
The borrowing will go down.
yeah, do we have to get any further authorization to take
No.
Advantage? You've got that.
As long as the borrowing doesn't exceed, what we've done is cap the borrowing. So that if it gives us some leverage in terms of the funding agencies to say, look, we're committed, we're in this. Pony up so that if a bid were to come in, as an example, in excess, we're in a position to say, look, we can't go ahead because we only have authorization to borrow up to here. So rural development, as an example, would be a good place for us to go knock on their door and say, look, we're 2/3 of the way there. All we need is an additional X. And that's part of the strategy in terms of why we capped it, why we worded the article this way, is that you're authorizing us to borrow this amount of money, assuming this amount of grant. And beyond that, we can't go any further unless it's somebody else's money.
You obviously can't crystal ball where other funds might come from. Other towns might not be able to take advantage of
Right.
project funds.
That's part of it.
Right.
That's part of it. Yeah. It's, everything we read and everybody at the state level we're talking to is we know that there is a huge, I can't remember off the top of my head right now, but there's a huge amount of dollars coming to the state. Significant pieces going to Department of Transportation. We know that. But there's a huge amount, and I can't remember the number, but it was 300 million? Is that what?
Yeah, I think the current appropriation's like about 50 million, but DES overall was going to get about 175 million. Primarily being funneled through the SRF programs over a 5-year period. But yeah, this is the unique piece about the ARPA grant too that we could speak about, is that the ARPA grants will be administered and dispersed on the front end, whereas some of our other more conventional rural development funding only allows you to draw down the grant portion on the back end once you've met the loan amount. So this is a unique opportunity with the ARPA grant to be able to pull the grant dollars in first, get the engineering done and going, and, you know, like Chris said, reassess where we're at.
Right. Good. Right. You're asking us to allocate a lot of money, potentially,
Yes.
to a lot of projects in the next 5 years. And we can only hope we get the funding from the feds, from the state. What is the state's contribution? Any? To any of this?
Well,
Yes, they're
there's
loan-funded.
some trust fund,
Yeah.
which is
MTP.
which is cleanup, environmental cleanup dollars that they have. So that they're out, they give us grants, and then there's a loan forgiveness piece, or principal forgiveness piece. So we borrow the money, and then each year when the payment is due, they'll forgive a percentage. It's 10%, 12%?
10 to 15%.
10 to 15,
yeah.
depending upon whether it's water or sewer.
But I believe the state's portion of match on any of the funds coming into the SRF is about 20%. They have to provide 20% match to the funds coming in.
Good. Let's hope the money comes, as they promise.
Yep.
Let's hope it gets through the filters in Concord. The problem is, it starts in Washington at 100 million, and by the time it hits the street,
And then add in inflation.
Yeah, it's a huge wild card as to what our bids are gonna be like. Are
well,
they gonna
inflation
be?
and construction costs. I mean, our engineers are already telling us, because of the amount of influx of federal dollars into construction projects, they're already seeing huge bumps. And then you have the coronavirus impacts in terms of the supply line. So it's, you know, we saw a little bit of that across the street doing that project. So it's, you're right. I mean, we talk about crystal ball. It's a lot of what you're doing with all of this is kind of guessing.
Well, I give you guys a lot of credit for putting this together since November, when the money was
Talk to him.
promised.
He's the guy.
It's a lot of spreadsheet finagling to put together all those, the moving parts on the loans and the grants.
Thank you.
The agonizing starts after we
Yeah.
after we get the authorization. That's the hard part, is trying to analyze what's the right decision. Dealing with the what ifs.
Can you tell me what SRF?
State
State
revolving
revolving
loan
loan
fund.
fund.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, okay.
So yeah, this slide pretty much summarizes what we're trying to do here. Be a cost benefit on a multitude of these projects to coordinate with the town and DOT. Like I said, leverage the ARPA grants, the Rural Development Pre-Planning Grant, and the SRF Principal Forgiveness. So that sums it up, and that's all I have.
Do you have an estimate of how much this will affect rates?
That's another one, you know, kind of a spit in the wind.
Right.
But I would say in the vicinity of 10%. Again, part of it.
Over how many years?
Right.
Not 1 year, not this
Well,
year.
I mean, the issue is you're borrowing for 25 to 30 years, so it's not, it doesn't go up and go down, it goes up and stays up.
Right.
But, you know, one of the challenges is there's a lot of variables in the utility business, in water consumption. And, you know, how much comes in, you know, if I'd asked you 3 years ago, would Plymouth State ever shut down? You'd have all said no, and, you know, it couldn't happen. And so, but assuming no major unanticipated catastrophe, it looks to be in the vicinity of 10 to 12%, I would guess. But it won't happen it's not likely to happen all at once, because these things it won't hit the books, the debt service won't hit the books for, on a staggered basis.
Exactly, for many years. And you gotta retire debt, other debt in that same
Yep.
time period.
Some.
The good news is we don't have a lot of existing debt, which is also the bad news in terms of retiring it.
Yeah,
So it'll be booked out over, it'll be a 5 to 7 year impact, depending upon how those projects play out.
Yeah, another point I didn't include in any of my slides is that the SRF loan funding right now, the rates are 1.5% to 2%. So we don't see those getting any lower in the near term.
Any other questions?
We tried to wait, but.
Well. Well, then we'll bring this to a vote. It's officially 7:03, so the poll will be open for 1 hour on this. And we'll use what I think is the yellow. Thanks to the bright colors there. For articles? Yep. Okay, which brings us to Article 6, the water and sewer operating budget. To see if the district will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $2,960,836 for general district operations. This article does not include appropriations contained in special or individual articles addressed separately. This appropriation will be funded through income from departments and not taxation. Is there a motion?
I make a motion, we accept Article 6 as read.
I'd second that.
Article 6 has been moved and seconded. Is there discussion?
Well, excuse me for being late, but when we get all this stuff passed, how bad is our water bill gonna get?
Well, the operating budget's up about 5.5% from last year, but based on all of this stuff that's gonna pass, we're in the middle of a big rate study, how to reallocate and redistribute, that's the word I wanna roll off that tongue there, how people are paying, to maybe do, not necessarily, a tiered system is the wrong word, but to have the higher users pay more and the residential customers pay less, do a
It's gonna-
redistribution of
It's
funds.
gonna break the,
I
yeah,
thought we talked about this years ago, and we were told that you can't do that by law.
No, you can do that, it's just a matter of trying to do it,
How you do it.
it's the how you do it and the, so.
the magic
we're-
of the math,
It's,
yes.
yeah, right, so we're working on that, if it all comes out to play the way we want, the first actual adjustment that isn't like a planned adjustment, like we're planning on trying to raise the rates just a little bit each year, so that we aren't, suddenly
Hit-
up with, a 50% increase or something ridiculous, So our first known adjustment for all the loans and grants that we're talking about would be 2026.
Okay. And excuse me for asking, but these other things that if it passes, is the government grant going into?
Yes, so everything that we talked about, there's a line in each of the
That's what I thought.
warrants that says, we're only gonna act upon this if the grant money comes in. If we don't get grant money, but,
I read them, and that's what I thought.
right, yep, definitely, and we wanna make sure, Jason and Dawn have been chasing money and trying to get as many grants as we can get. One thing I have to say about the water and sewer department is, we like to find money so we don't have to outlay it.
Why can't we dig up a chest of gold?
Maybe in all that work we're doing in the road, something.
We'll find the gold that's buried there.
a vein of gold.
Somebody make an excellent up top, and we'll dig below. Okay, is there any further discussion on Article 6? Hearing none, we'll bring Article 6 to a vote. This will be a voice vote. So all those in favor of Article 6 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Article 6 passes.
Yeah, I didn't smell.
Oh, God, my
For
nose is
Article
crazily
2
sensitive.
Is, there were 12 votes cast, yes were 12, no were 0.
Okay, well, that's
So
good.
Article 2 passes.
On
Article 3, 12 votes were cast, there are 12 yes, 0 no. So Article 3 passes. Article 4, the 12 votes were cast, 12 for yes, 0 no. So Article 4 passes.
He's rational.
Number 5, we had
Yeah.
surprise results. There were 12 votes cast, 0 no, 12 yes.
One more article.
There we go. We went to the last Saturday, I guess, right?
Right, we do. Now, is there any other business to come before this meeting?
But I know. Move, we adjourn. Move, we adjourn.
Seeing
Motion to
none,
adjourn?
Second?
we're adjourned.